Hello and welcome to another episode of Ewell Acres. Today we're going to continue talking about beekeeping by talking about burlap sack and how you can use it for a fuel for your smoker. Let's get started. As a side note, if you like what we're doing, if you're getting value out of these videos, go ahead and click on the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps us to continue to learn and grow so we can go from each other. Now this is burlap sack. It generally is going to be made out of flax, maybe some hemp. It could also be made out of jute twine, various vegetable fibers, also commonly known as gunny sack. It's commonly used to hold onions, potatoes, various different items. This particular sack is going to be 2 feet by 3 feet in length. It is a very dry, very flammable material that will work very well for using fuel for your smoker. There are many common different fuels that you can use for smokers. If you're able to find natural materials around the yard, you're looking for pine shavings or pine needles, you could be looking for maybe some pine cones. There's wood pellets that you can use. This is just one of many different types of materials that you could be using. Now, I like using burlap sack because it is very, very cheap. I can go down to my local bee supply store and I can get some burlap sackcloth or material that's a small square or multiple sheets that is comparable to about 2 feet by 2 feet or 4 square feet worth, and that can cost $4 or $5. Why would I spend $4 or $5 for a couple sheets of that cotton cloth material if I wanted to use that? Or I could go down to my local farm and ranch store, which just happens to be my bee supply store as well, and I can purchase this burlap sack for a whole whopping $2.50. So I can get 30-40 times the amount of material for just $2, which is the exact same price that I can get for that 1 to 2 square feet worth. Financially speaking, this is a whole lot better, and I like it a lot. Now, whether or not the merits that you want to use burlap sack as a burning material is something all on its own. I personally love using it because it's dry, it readily easily burns, and it works really well. It produces a lot of white, cool smoke that is not going to overly take out your bees. That is the advantage to it. It's also relatively readily available material that comes from renewable sources, so it works really well, and it produces a tremendously large amount of white smoke. That's why I love it. Downside to it, it does not have a long burn time whatsoever. I maybe get 5-10 minutes of burn time when I actually use it in my smoker. So that's the downside. But one thing you can do is if you're working with wood pellets or some other type of material that takes a little bit longer to burn, then what you can do is use burlap sack as a fire starter to help it get going. Then you can add twigs, you can add pine needles, you can add other flammable high oil materials that will work well for a fuel smoker that's going to be a lot longer lasting burning. So what is it that I'm doing with this material? I'm going through, I'm using some scissors, and I'm just cutting up the sackcloth. I'm going to be cutting them up into approximately 2 to 3 inches wide, and it's going to be approximately a foot long. So that way, it's going to be a really easy material. I can very easily roll it up after I've cut it and put it in the smoker, use my blowtorch, and light it. It works really, really well. As you can see, I've got this giant 2 foot by 3 foot sack that I'm able to cut into different lengths. And this is just a particular length that I like that works well for me, but different ones work different well. And that's one of the things I like about it is you can get multiple lengths out of it for relatively simple work. Now, one thing to keep a note when you are cutting burlap sack is it can tend to leave little strands here and there everywhere that can make kind of a mess just like when you're dealing with any sort of a fabric. As you can see along the edges, as I'm cutting, this material frays relatively easily once those fibers are cut, and so you will create a little bit of a mess when cleaning up. When I do this in the future, I'm going to be doing it in the outside where it's not going to matter as a mess. Where it just so happened to be, it was the dead of winter, and I really didn't feel like going outside because there's a foot of snow out of the ground outside, and I don't like doing it. But this is a great activity to do in the dead of winter to help prepare for when spring comes again. Now, we're going to go ahead and finish cutting this up. We're going to go ahead and stack it, and then we are going to go ahead and do a great demonstration of how this stuff burns. So, now that we've got this burlap sack, let us know in the comments below, what is a type of material that you like using for your bee smoker that works well for you? Let us know in the comments below. We have all of our material cut up and stacked. Look at this. We have a tremendous amount of material. We probably have at least 30-40 burns worth of material that we got out of this. Just strip after strip after strip that's going to be able to last us for multiple settings for when we go out to do our hive inspections. Got all of our burlap sack cut and ready to go. We are going to go ahead and demonstrate how this stuff burns. Now, we were already doing an early spring inspection because we were getting it going. And this right here is what it looks like when burlap is currently burning. It produces a nice white clean smoke that's going to be enough to help you be able to do your inspection and smoke those bees. However, it's going to be a cool smoke. It's not going to be burning hot cinders where it's going to start to damage it. So this is one of the strips of the burlap sack that we went ahead and cut. We're going to go ahead and pretend like this smoker is not burning. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our handy dandy little blowtorch. I find this to be a very great tool to utilize to help in lighting the smoker. You can use matches, you can other things, but I just find that using the torch makes it really, really simple. We went ahead and rolled up this burlap sack to make it easy. Now we're going to go ahead and click the light, and we are lighting it up. As you can see, it very readily and easily burns. It is a very flammable, easy material that produces a tremendous amount of smoke. We've got it lit. We're going to go ahead and toss it in our smoker. We push our bellows, give it some airflow, and we are going to right up and instantly increase the amount of smoke that we've got going, so that way we can continue on with our bee inspections. If you're getting value out of these videos, if you like what we're doing, please don't forget to subscribe. Click on that bell for notifications. Not only does it help us out with the YouTube algorithm, but it helps to keep you informed so when we've got new videos like this coming out all the time. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.